Space is an infinite canvas for us to project ourselves onto. This is Skull Babylon, and you're about to listen to episode 86 of Paradigm Shift Radio, in which we welcome on our good friend Elaena onto the show to talk about creating sacred space and the success and vision of her new community project, the Urban Temple, a non-dogmatic sacred space in Berkeley, California, to help foster conscious evolution, collective inspiration, and community growth. Sacred space can be created in a variety of ways, both internally and externally. And in this conversation, we discuss the value of it, how it makes a difference, and how you can put more intention towards creating it both for yourself and others. In addition, the conversation also branched into discussion about the idea of Kundalini awakening, what it means, and how the concept is relative and applicable to our broader understanding of this life journey. Paradigm Shift Radio is a digital sacred space in itself, and we like to remind and invite everyone to know that there is a place for them within it. So when the time is right, be sure to engage further with this awesome conscious community that we are co-creating together as we continue to be mirrors of support and inspiration for one another. Use Paradigm Shift Radio and ParadigmShiftCentral.com as tools to help share and invite others to explore and learn more about this transformational reality and our place within it. So help ripple the transformation further as we continue to grow. Tune in to future episodes of Paradigm Shift Radio, go back and listen to past episodes, have fun exploring the main website, connect with others, create your own sacred space, change the world, and enjoy the show. One love. Changing the world is like growing a small plant. It takes attention, love, consistency, and patience. But over time, your efforts will bear beautiful fruit to provide nourishment for many. This is Brendon Culleton, aka Skull Babylon, aka Skull Wolfshield Culleton, of many names. I've got a few, but you can call me your local superhero on the internet, broadcasting to you live from Central Command here in London, Ontario, Canada, once again for another awesome community co-created episode of Paradigm Shift Radio. And if I can get an 1111 from you guys in the live chat to make sure things are sounding a-okay, and we'll be rolling along with another awesome show that we got here tonight. And tonight on the show, we're going to be having our good friend Flo on it and going to be talking about creating a conscious community within the middle of some very interesting places. We're talking about how to create sacred space and talking about what that means. What does sacred space mean? What does sacred mean? Which is a very interesting conversation in itself. So before we get started, there's a few things that I just want to go over and share with you guys just in terms of community news. Really not too many things. And, of course, just being able to introduce this project to everybody who may be tuned in new, and just, of course, encouraging people to be able to continue to share this episode with more people as we are still broadcasting live, so they can get synced up, so they can hear the inspiration that is coming out of this awesome co-creation that we are a part of, and be inspired to be able to take the action to help change the world. Because this is really, when you really break it down, this whole paradigm shifting is about collective education and collective inspiration. And that inspiration is very contagious. And that's the type of stuff that really does literally transform the world around us. So, like I said, before we get into the regular community news, of course, just introducing to people to the fact that ParadigmShiftCentral.com is the main website that you can go to check out. And there you will be able to find all sorts of conscious media, lots of videos from people within the Paradigm Shift communities, and videos specifically from within physical paradigm shift community meetings. And physical paradigm shift communities exist all across the world. Like I said, I'm in London, therefore I'm with London, Ontario, Paradigm Shift London, Ontario, Canada, and you can find us at facebook.com/Paradigm Shift London. And of course, shout out to all the beautiful friends that I have in the London community. And you can find if there is a paradigm shift community where you are, or you can be inspired to help create one, which is, again, something that I'd like to think by the end of this episode, more people will be inspired to be able to create sacred space where they are, to be able to build community. And, of course, like I said, at the main website, you can find all sorts of stuff. In particular, the new videos that I've been putting up on a weekly basis. We got some really cool videos that you can find through facebook.com/Paradigm Shift Central, or through ParadigmShiftCentral.com facebook.com/IS, which stands for the Inspiration Station. And in addition to all of these stuff being submitted, there's the videos that we are having that I'm trying to create weekly, and they are sort of showing you what the physical meetings look like inside a Paradigm Shift community, and often addressing it around a question. And the most recent question that we had, that I haven't posted the video yet, so you're going to want to like the Facebook page to make sure that you get it when it goes out live. The question we were asking is, how do we know when we're on the path? So a very interesting thing, not necessarily what we're talking about right this second, but stay tuned if you want to check that out. And again, go to facebook.com/Paradigm Shift Central, like that, and be able to check out all sorts of amazing videos there. And of course, shout out to the beautiful people who are submitting content there on a regular basis. And anybody can submit content there. This is a community platform, and we want people to be able to know that through Paradigm Shift Central, they can share their voice with a global audience as we continue to shift the paradigm. So in terms of other stuff I want to bring you guys up to speed on, there's a very interesting new documentary was released online today, and I actually just want to send out some congratulations to our good friends over at Collective Evolution. And Collective Evolution can be found on Facebook at facebook.com/Collective Evolution page, and also at collective-evolution.com. And this is really weird, I'm trying to post the links into the live chat, but I'm having a little technical difficulty. Not entirely sure why, but I'll figure that out, no problem, in a couple minutes, and I'll share those links with you. But anyways, Collective Evolution posted up a new documentary that they have been working on, that my good buddy Joe had been working on for quite some time, and that documentary is called Collective Evolution 3: The Shift. So if you go to the Facebook page for Collective Evolution, you can check that out. I was fortunate enough to actually be able to see the movie before its official release, and I can tell you that it's really cool. It's really cool because it kind of covers a lot of angles. It really comes in from the idea of talking about all these protests happening across the world, but then it gets into the quantum side of things, and then it starts to get into the spiritual yuga cycle sort of thing, and it really gives some nice examples, and it gets into like free energy, and it gets into like earth shifts. It really covers a lot of ground. So again, I just want to congratulate them, and there's quite a good chance I may actually be having Joe on the show in the future, which I think would be a wonderful thing, Joe Martino. So again, shout out to the Collective Evolution team. I just wanted to be able to share that with you guys. So after the show, you guys can go and watch that movie. You can literally watch it. And of course, another movie that you guys might want to check out is this little funny movie called Journey to Lucidity, The Planted Seed, which of course is online for free. And we are in the process of raising funds for the sequel that is going to be happening this April at lucidityfestival.com. And, well, it's not at the website, but it's at Lucidity Festival in California, and you can go and you can check that out for yourself if possible. And I would love to be able to sync up with you there. And you can support this project by going to gofundme.com/journey2lucidity and being able to raise funds as a community. It's being able to help support the production of that so that we can share the sequel. And from there, that actually does segue me. Oops, okay, sorry, I just posted the wrong link there into the live chat, but I'm correcting that, so no worries. But that segues me into what I want to talk about next, which is introducing our wonderful guest, Flo, onto the show tonight, Elaena Flo. And Flo is actually a wonderful person who I met while filming the first Journey to Lucidity movie, which is a very cool thing, because if you, there's not like, it doesn't say her name in the movie, but those of you who have seen the movie, if you go back to the movie, and this is like a nice introduction because a lot of you are familiar with the movie, if you go back to the movie, there is a scene where I am talking to Flo, and she is babysitting a young baby, a young child named Atreyu, and Flo is just talking about like how children in themselves are beautiful teachers as well, and it was just a really amazing scene. And Flo was actually hanging out with Nathaniel Solis, another good buddy of ours, and well before the film we got to know each other a bit there, and then it was just really cool to have her connect with me later on, which led to tonight's show with her telling me that she is in the process of creating what she is referring to as the Urban Temple, which is in Berkeley, California, and they are in the process of raising funds for their Indiegogo campaign. So I mean, there's a few things, you know, that like it's kind of funny because I'm asking you guys to support my funding campaign, and she's got her funding campaign, and I don't want you guys to have to like pick and choose, but just know that the option is there to be able to at least share this and to invite other people to be able to contribute. And of course, I mean, you're more than welcome to contribute to whatever your heart desires. And through that collective contribution, we are helping bring more of what we want to see into this world. So you can check out the urbantemple.org, and the Indiegogo page for that is linked through the main website. and I'll include it, and it is in the show notes through Blog Talk. If you just scroll up on Blog Talk, you can click the links there, and also the Journey to Lucidity link is also there as well. And you can find that at indiegogo.com//the-urban-temple. But yeah, definitely check that out. But with that said, so we're going to bring Flo onto the air, and we're going to talk. We're going to learn more about what she is and what this ambitious project is, what it is that she wants to create, why she wants to create it, and the difference that it's already beginning to make within that community, and how any of us can be inspired to create these sacred spaces where we are to be able to build community. So with that said, we are going to bring Flo onto the air. So Flo, if you're ready, I'm going to bring you on to Paradigm Shift Radio. Here we go.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Hi.
Welcome, Flo. Welcome to our wonderful show that we have here. And it's such a pleasure to have you involved with it.
Thank you. I'm so honored to be part of this show today.
All right. Well, I mean, just kind of reminiscing on anything. I mean, just going back, I'm just thinking back to like when we first met with the Journey to Lucidity movie and everything, and just the environment that I really got out of being in California. California is such an amazing place, and there are so many amazing, beautiful people, and it's no surprise that a project like this is happening in California, because there is that core support of really fundamental, beautiful people like within that Berkeley community, I'm sure. So Flo, I mean, I've introduced the website, but from here, share with the audience what it is. What is this urban temple, and what it is that you're trying to accomplish with the project? And then, as per usual with Paradigm Shift Radio, nothing's set in stone, so we'll just flow, so to speak, with the conversation and see where that takes us. But again, please tell us more about this urban temple project.
Great, I'd love to. So the Urban Temple is a space that I found in Berkeley. It's on Telegraph Avenue, so it's a pretty busy street, and it is being created as a alternative healing center and also a community temple. So this space is serving many functions already, and we haven't even officially opened yet, but already we've been hosting many community rituals, offering healing sessions out of the space, and kind of listening to what it is that this space wants to be in our community. I'm part of a community here in the East Bay of some of the most powerful, inspired, creative, incredible beings that I have ever met. And there is definitely a big need for spaces to house all the different offerings that people bring to the world that come through them. And so I have this space, and already it's being filled up with so many things beyond, so many offerings beyond what I even expected. And it's having this really powerful ripple effect in my community of kind of a very deep call to action for all of us to really step into what we already know is our purpose and our deep passions and our talents, and really start offering them in the world to more people, because they're so powerful for healing, transformation. And so not only is this space already helping people in the sense that it's offering healing, but it's also really helping the healers to step into our power and think of what it is that we can create, because now we have this blank canvas that can be anything we want.
Yeah, that's really exciting. I mean, just listening to that, because I mean, to me, like when I hear that, and I didn't fully explain it properly at the beginning of the show, just in the midst of everything that I was trying to get out there, but the paradigm shift communities, I mean, the basic idea is that they're a place to encourage open-mindedness, healthy living, and the evolution of consciousness. And we have regular physical meetings on a scheduled basis. But here, what you guys are creating is what, in my mind, like it's almost like a clubhouse for a paradigm shift community. I mean, whether or not you're calling it a paradigm shift community doesn't really matter. I mean, obviously paradigms are being shifted in some way or another. That's obvious. And to me, like, that's where it's really exciting, because I'm trying to imagine, like, what would I do if I had a space like this? And this is something that even where we are, like, I mean, I think anybody, I mean, ideally, if you could do that, if you could find a physical location, start imagining what it is that you could start creating. And yeah, like, so in terms of maybe some of the events that have already taken place, give us some examples of how this space is already being utilized and how you'd like to see it be utilized more in the future. And again, just encouraging people as to how their support can help bring this into fruition.
Okay. Yeah, so far we've had several community rituals, and the way that we offer ritual in this community is ever evolving, and it's free of dogma in the sense that we empower everyone that's in the ceremony, in the circle, to really step fully into their own channel, and to trust that, and to let the collective energy move, and to allow channeled information and wisdom and improvised rituals to come through us in the space. So it's a really different model of what ritual can be. I feel like a lot of our history and a lot of the established spiritual centers have a really sort of rigid way that they access the spiritual realm and that transcendent state of communion with our Creator. And so we host rituals that really empower every single person to be a ritualist, and also to step into the magic of what happens when we open a space with deep intention and allow spirit to move through us. It's very, very powerful and amazing every time, definitely. So we definitely want to have more of that for sure. And one of the reasons that we're having an Indiegogo campaign is because we could really use some sound blocking curtains, because the space is on a fairly busy street. So we really want to create an environment that allows people to fully drop into a sacred space to bring that into this conversation. And to do that, it's really important to have the right environment. I mean, of course, we can create this type of transcendent experience anywhere we are, but it's especially powerful when the space itself, the physical space, is really beautiful, and also a container that can hold that energy without distraction. One of the ways that we could be really supported to go deeper in this work is having some kind of sound barrier to create that container.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point that you bring up, the idea of mitigating distractions. I think that's something that, I mean, even just for anybody listening to this, bringing this into the conversation, bringing this into the focus of the topic of creating sacred space. Obviously, if you're living in your room a lot, try and make it sacred. And sometimes that can mean simply making sure that it's clean, because I think a lot of us do have that habit where our room can get a little bit messy. And then, I mean, this is kind of stating the obvious, but in that situation, it's usually harder for us to sort of allow that creative flow to occur because, as you said, there's distractions. And whether those distractions are clutter or whether those distractions might be some sort of undistinguishable odor coming from under your bed, so to speak, or, anything like that. But yeah, like I think just talking more, getting into this conversation about sacred space, Flo, what does it mean to you in more explanation as to what a sacred space is to begin with?
That's a good question. I've been thinking about this definition today, preparing for this show a little bit, and I didn't come to any concrete conclusion, so I'm just going to improvise and explain what I feel. Sacred space, to me, is living in a place of connection to the understanding that everything that exists is interconnected, and at the same time, each individual is so powerful that with our intention, we can create anything. So bringing that into the concept of sacred space is to create a space where divine inspiration can flow. And that can be anything from just sitting in meditation to creating an entire temple to house sacred events or communion with higher self or different kinds of angelic presences or whatever you can imagine. Really, it's acknowledging the potency of our minds as influencing reality and choosing to align our minds with the most high vibrational divine energy that we're able to access in that moment and let go of the clutter of the environment and of our minds so that we're fully open to receive.
Yeah, I agree, and just sort of adding my own to that explanation. We within our Paradigm Shift London meeting, and there's actually one of the videos of this, what I was referring to earlier, these videos that we have, and one of the videos that we had was based around the question of what is sacred. And within the collection of answers that were put forward, the way that I leaned towards explaining it was the idea that sacred, okay, if you were to say sacred is like as an example, is a clean river. That is what sacred is. Sacred in itself, 100%, is a very clean river. And what that river represents is the ability for consciousness, for source, for love to be able to flow through it with as much ease as possible, and for it to be as much as it is capable of being within that river. And by cluttering that river, by putting garbage in it and by polluting it and by obstructing it, it begins to become quote unquote less sacred, in the sense that not as much flow of divine creation, of divine inspiration, so to speak, coming from higher up from the river is capable of getting through in the way that we know it is capable of getting through if there wasn't as much clutter, if there wasn't as much pollution, so to speak. So, I mean, yeah, to me, I think when we talk about, like, what does it mean to create a sacred space, we're not trying to say that, like, the space is going to be 100% sacred. Well, I mean, actually, I have to be careful how I word it there, because, I mean, if the intention is for the space to be sacred, then it's also the opportunity that it creates when people there can be more capable of expressing themselves, of being who they are without having to be ridiculed or criticized or like feel as if they are not welcome, so to speak, within that environment. So, I mean, that's where, you know, when you get into the idea of, like, churches and everything and mausoleums being sacred spaces, I mean, that's where, obviously, like, from their connection, it was this idea that, you know, people would go there to connect with God. And what God is to them is, I mean, for a lot of us listening, I mean, God can just be thought of as, like, a metaphor for the universe. We're going there to connect with our own heavenly essence of awareness, like you were saying, in the idea of enlightenment going hand in hand with the awareness of how much we are capable of creating within this reality. So, I mean, yeah, like, I guess in terms of just continuing to elaborate on the sacred space conversation, what do you feel and what do you sort of hope will happen through your particular community, through the urban temple, over time? What do you expect to see the change? What changes do you expect to see occur within the people who are a part of the community, and also potentially, like, you know, the extended community in Berkeley itself, through the fact that this community exists?
Yeah. Thank you for sharing those definitions of sacred and sacred space. I feel really aligned with that. It feels really resonant. And also, when you were speaking of a non-judgmental space where expression is allowed, that's definitely in the essence of the vision of the urban temple. And Let's see, in the short term, what I expect to see from this project is a really big upsurgence of alternative healers and shamanic healers, all and artists that are in this community that are sharing new or ancient metaphysical ways of accessing greater awareness.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's really important to have this space because there's so many people that I know in this area that have incredible gifts and teachings to share, but they haven't had the space or the resources or really the spark to
mm-hmm.
really start doing it. And
yeah.
it's time for us to stop doing things that we think we should be doing for money. And there's always been this struggle of, wow, I know this is my soul's purpose and my gift, and I want to figure out a way to get this into the world, but then there's all of the challenges of actually creating business and also just having a space to share. Because right now there's a lot of yoga studios and there's a lot of wellness centers.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a lot of spaces, the modalities that will be shared at the Urban Temple don't necessarily fit into those already set structures. So I see that there already is and will be continued empowerment of my community to really step into a bigger and more professional level of offering our soul gifts to the world and really creating so much abundance and money flow from that, and letting go of this idea that we need to work in ways that are not really enjoyable, because it's not true. We're here to share these amazing transformational pathways to self-growth and evolution and community deepening, and there's such a need for that. So
mm-hmm.
just empowering that and getting that going.
Yeah, I think when you said the term spark, to me that was something that really, I was like, yeah, that's it. That's why we're doing this. We are doing this because a physical place like this is very, 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 very important. And again, even going back to the whole motivation behind me wanting to create this paradigm shift project, going back, history lesson here, it began as a club within the college that I was at, and me and my buddies were starting it together just literally as a club. And for me, my motivation in doing this was because, the internet's fun. There's a lot of information on the internet, but the real magic is when people are physically face-to-face, are when people are in the same room, when they are inside each other's morphogenetic field, so to speak. There's something else that happens there that simply cannot happen simply through the online interaction. And it is literally, it is like magic. It's a degree of magic, because what happens is that when people come and they find a place like this, especially if they're coming from a personal space of feeling doubt and insecurity about their curiosity for the metaphysical nature of reality, a lot of people, they're just yeah, I'm really interested in chakras and meditation and lucid dreaming, but I can't talk about it with anybody in my classes at school. So, and there's almost this internal struggle that they're going with. Should I just stop caring about this? Who do I? And then when they find out that a physical community exists of other people who are willing to welcome this person with open arms and just be yeah, man, welcome to the team. You're not crazy. We got tons of information that we can share with you. Come on, share. We want you to be a part of it. We want you to be inspired. We want you to have that spark to be able to co-create. And what comes out of that, going back to, even just the beginning of what I said, the inspiration that comes out of that literally changes people's lives, because suddenly it opens up this whole new chapter for them. And I think within your example of the Urban Temple, it's awesome that there is already a core foundation of a lot of amazing people involved with this. But I think what is really going to make a difference is when this temple begins to spread word of mouth and events begin to ripple throughout the community, and people who otherwise wouldn't really have known about this place start finding out about it it for the first time. And I mean, like I said, the West Coast energy is very interesting. There are a lot of people there who are quote unquote waking up, so to speak. But what happens when they really start finding themselves, when they really start building that tribe through this helixing of having this physical space? Because I mean, with the paradigm shift communities that we have, with the one in London, we have meetings every Friday, and visually I always think of it as, you know, like we sit in a group in a circle and we talk and we practice having open discussion and we meditate together and we even do group hugs sometimes, and then after the meeting we depart in all of our different directions. You know, we just like explode like a lotus flower out into the community. But then 1 week later, like the breath itself, we come back together and we meet back up in the same location. And it's like this helixing, you know, the helix itself. It goes out, then it comes back in. It goes out, it comes back in. So by having a physical community, a place that we can return to, a temple, a physical space, it creates this opportunity for the breath to be brought into the life of people. You know, people will know that the urban temple exists, or a paradigm shift community will exist, and it will begin to become part of their routine. And again, like you said, like the spark in that, the inspiration in that is really powerful. So I mean, I just want to commend you, Flo, for being one of the driving forces behind this. And I think it means a lot for other people to see someone such as yourself taking on a leadership role within a project, because obviously it means a lot to you. And even just backstepping a little bit, what would be well, actually, let me just confirm, because I saw somebody asking in the live chat. They were just asking, and I think they might have tuned in late, and they were just saying, is this place already real? Like, does it already exist? And just to confirm, as Flo mentioned, yes, this is a physical, like it's already it's part of it's a building.
I'm in it right now.
You are in it right now.
Yes, indeed.
It is real. They are already doing stuff, and the support of the Indiegogo campaign is to be able to help them do even more awesome stuff. So this isn't theoretical. Like, we're already into the real. It's already happening, and I think that's a really cool part about it. But again, just going back to the question I was putting forth, what was your inspiration in wanting to begin this project, and even just really going back, how long ago was that, and how long has it taken you to be able to remain consistent with this? And then even just tying this into this, were there points where you felt like you wanted to not do it, or you felt like it's just like, oh, this is too much hassle, I just want to walk away? What has that experience been like for you, and just bringing this project into reality?
That's a multi-part question.
That is.
So, okay, well, I feel like I've been creating different versions of similar things for multiple years of my life. When I was in college at UC Santa Barbara, around 2008, I had a spontaneous Kundalini awakening, and that's really what catalyzed my spiritual journey. I really didn't have any understanding. I didn't actually know what that word even was, or what that energy was. And at that time, I also was receiving all of these visions of creating spaces for freedom and expression for people to gather. And I had this really clear understanding that that was the way to change the world into a place that I would feel more at home, a place that I would want to see on this planet. Mm-hmm. And I started putting on festivals and things like that. I also started a community forum where people could get together and just talk about their experiences of evolving and awakening, and discuss what is consciousness. It seems similar to paradigm shift communities, actually. Mm-hmm. And then through that, at one point I started a community temple out of my house in Oakland about 3 years ago, and that was called the Mystic Activation Temple. And similar concept, it was a place for rituals and workshops, classes, community gathering, celebration, education. And then a little while after that, I had this really clear vision come to me in kind of like a therapy sort of way. My blood sister, and I did this activity after we saw our mentor, and she asked us to get into a really fluid, creative space, and then write out what our life would be like if there was no limitation of money or anything. And what came to me was that I want to be part of a team of people that creates healing centers and temples all over the world. And so that's the vision that I've been carrying in my heart for all of these years, and I have let go of it in all these different ways and have thought, wow, that seems like a really far-fetched concept, but it turns out that it's not that far-fetched. And so this space is really step one of that, and it's a space to offer things to, like, offer classes and things, but really the essence of it, I feel, is a space for the co-creators that are going to be part of this team that creates these healing centers and temples in multiple locations. It's for us to really get together and create a foundation for co-creation so that we really can get in alignment with each other, get alignment with the essence of ourselves, share all of our healing modalities, access even more healing modalities, just get really super clear, connected, expressive, like aligned in our passions and our purpose, and then work together to create these visions that each of us have had in our own ways. And it's really beautiful to see us all coming together. So I feel like this is really the like nurturing place for just so much more that's coming that I don't even exactly know what it is.
Yeah.
Because when all of these people come together in this magical way, it's unpredictable. I don't know. Yeah. I just feel like it's going to be more than any of us even imagine. So that's what I'm expecting.
Yeah, and that's really exciting. And again, I mean, just drawing the parallels here, I think me and you actually share a very similar path just in terms of my motivation behind creating the physical paradigm shift communities and everything. And I think what is so exciting about both of them, about paradigm shift communities and the urban temple, is the idea that, I mean, when I began the paradigm shift communities, I always said from the beginning that this is a social experiment in the idea that I myself can't fully predict what will happen. All I'm doing is creating a scenario for these elements to come together. It's a simple idea that, you know, if you build it, they will come sort of thing. But then what happens after that? Like that's the exciting part, because we don't know for sure. We just create the space for it to happen, for all these ingredients to come together. And then out of that, like it's going to be amazing. It's going to be absolutely amazing. And you know, I'm just thinking a month from now, 2 months, like half a year from now, like this is the type of stuff that literally does change lives, because it builds community, it brings inspiration, it brings in education, it gives people this network for support, which I think is so incredibly important, and also this place for healing. And even just going back to, I mean, we'll segue this in a second in terms of, you know, answering the question of how to create sacred spaces, but just figuring out a little bit more about some of the things that can take place within this temple, within this urban temple, or, you know, any sacred space that other people might be inspired to make. What are some of the, for example, you guys are doing, you're going to have like Reiki sessions and things like that. Is there anything more that you can tell us just about the possibility of the things that the space could be used for, what people could expect to find in it?
Yeah, definitely. There definitely will be Reiki. One of the founders, Kate, is one of the most powerful Reiki healers I've ever encountered, and she'll be working out of this space. Right now in the space, we actually have an incredible light table that was donated to us, or we're borrowing it for I'm not sure how long, but it's this incredible copper light table that has sacred geometry inside it, and I believe crystals, and it's just a super powerful vortex for healing. So we've been playing with that in sessions. So Kate offers Reiki. I offer tantric energy healing modality, similar to Reiki, but it incorporates the shamanic dance understanding that I've gained through my years of studies. That's another thing that will definitely be here and already has been here is a Kundalini tantric dance. The women, my close friends in my community, have asked me to teach them this modality, and it's really deep honor and inspiration for me to start sharing it more. So we'll definitely be having that. That'll be on Fridays for March. We have our schedule for March up. It's a little bit less than what will be in the coming months, but we're going to start a little bit slow and build from there. Along the lines of movement, there definitely will be yoga here. I myself am a yoga teacher, and also there's many, many yoga teachers in this community. Definitely Kundalini yoga, too, is a really important practice that we'll have here. Definitely theta healing. That's one of the most powerful modalities that I've encountered lately. Many people in my immediate community, all of the other founders actually of the Urban Temple, have just done their theta healing training, and it is transforming all of us. We'll just go like in the middle of casual conversation. If something comes up, there's something that's keeping us from being fully in our hearts, we'll just go straight into healing. So Alexandra, one of our founders, is a really powerful theta healer and stepping into that more. So we'll be offering sessions of that sort here. We're also going to be having ZEG Forum and other kinds of community deepening circles and communication circles like NVC and also EFT. Those are a lot of letters, but they're ways of NVC, nonviolent communication, and EFT is emotional freedom technique, and those are both really powerful tools for evolution that we'll be offering. Also, we're going to have an 8-week series starting in April that is Tantric Empowerment for Women. A lot of the stuff that we're offering here, first off, in the beginning is women-centered because all of the founders are women, and we just feel really passionately that we have a lot to offer in that way, and there's a lot that we can get from having women gathering in a non-judgmental, expressive space. So we're going to do a collaboration workshop series, and it's going to have the Kundalini dance and also Reiki and theta healing and women's circle type things. We will also have a women's choir that I feel like is going to turn into sort of like a cappella group, but bringing in all of the power of prayer and theta healing and all of these tools for transmitting high vibration and creating new beliefs that are more serving to us and the planet. And much more.
Much more, I'm sure, yeah. There's literally like an unlimited amount of stuff that you can do with a space like that, and the ambition behind the people in the community. No, that's wonderful to hear. And actually, just on a few of those, I'd be curious to just sort of backtrack a little bit and even just use this sacred space of the radio show to just bring a little bit more information in terms of when we were talking about Kundalini healing, and even when you were talking about your Kundalini awakening, so to speak. I know some people were interested in that, so I'd actually be able to go back towards that in a second, and even if there's anything else you want to talk about in terms of the theta healing, what that actually refers to as well, just in terms of educating people so that when they hear these terms again, they'll know what we're talking about, but also wanting to be able to get into the idea of creating and cultivating sacred space within, and what this means to you and how this interrelates into what you're doing with the Urban Temple, and then of course the idea of doing daily rituals to bring magic into our daily life to be able to change things in that way, and anything else that you want to talk about as we continue the conversation. But as we before we get there, just kind of going back a bit, I mean, just explaining it however you feel you choose to. Is there anything more that you can tell us about what you mean by the idea of a Kundalini awakening? Because I think that's a term that people hear now and then, and even for myself, I'm not totally sure if I can say I know what that means, because I can't say that I've quote unquote had one, so to speak. But what do you mean when you say Kundalini awakening, and also in terms of Kundalini healing?
Okay, so I'm going to speak in terms of polarity duality, because we live in a world of duality. And I'm going to talk about the Kundalini energy as the earth consciousness. And I'm going to speak of the earth consciousness as the divine feminine. And so what is happening on our planet is the earth consciousness is more rapidly evolving. And one of the side effects of this is that more people are waking up to their cosmic awareness much more quickly, and oftentimes without the typical process of reaching a certain level of mastery and understanding before that type of powerful energetics comes into the body system. So a Kundalini awakening is when your body is and your energy system is opened to the power of the earth consciousness coming in through all of your chakras from the root up through your crown. And when okay, so the Kundalini energy in the properties of it, it's very fiery, and it breaks up blockages in the energy system, in the chakra system. And so when someone has a Kundalini awakening, it simultaneously brings them to very high states of awareness, but it also triggers and brings up all of the aspects of the ego that are keeping the person from fully stepping into their power as a divine co-creator on this planet. So a Kundalini awakening can simultaneously be very ecstatic, euphoric, amazing, and it can also be terrifying and confusing and bring up a lot of shadow, so to speak.
Okay.
I don't know if that answers the question. I guess I'll keep going a little bit.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
So in the human body, you can imagine that the Kundalini energy sits at the base of your spine. And a lot of times, like in more ancient traditions, they talk about this energy as serpent energy. And when the Kundalini awakens, it unfolds and the serpents weave. There's two serpents, the Ida and Pingala, and those weave through your chakras, bringing more awareness to all of your centers. And then in the polarity, and this is how we think of energetics, cosmic energetics in Kundalini Tantric dance, which I'm a facilitator of. Once we connect the Kundalini earth energy all the way through our crown chakra, we can bring in the cosmic consciousness, and that you can imagine that descending from above, and we oftentimes call this the divine masculine energy. And this energy comes down through the system, and it's more of like a cooling energy, and it brings higher vibration into the body. So the Kundalini energy, in essence, is awakened to break up any resistance to receiving the full union of the divine masculine and the divine feminine within the body. And when we allow that union of energies in our body is when we are living in a place of full grace and openness to the magic of creation.
Yeah. So, I mean, in a way, the idea that, like, would you say that it is part of our human nature to move towards a path that allows our Kundalini energy to awaken? Is that something that you even feel that through this community, through the urban temple, that you expect to happen for other people?
Yes, and I've witnessed that happening. I seem to be sort of a catalyst for that kind of awakening in people. So I hold space for that a lot, and I definitely think that it's important. It's an important step of human evolution as we're evolving to let in even more cosmic light through our beings' world, that we awaken the Kundalini, or you know, but there's I have a warning, I guess, that's coming from somewhere inside of me that's saying that the Kundalini it awakens in the right time. Yeah. So some people will kind of chase after it and try to make their Kundalini awaken, and that's simply not the way that it happens. It's more of like when your soul is called to step into a new level of awareness, it'll happen naturally, and then you'll be guided to the right guidance to learn how to navigate that energy. And there's so many different ways to access it, to cultivate it, to like open more fully into it. A lot of like martial arts, like not martial arts, I don't know the exact definition, but like Qigong and Tai Chi, a lot of those Asian modalities work with the same energies that I'm talking about, but it's just a different system of accessing it and working with it. And one of the things that is important to me in my evolution, and I see as important to all of us, is having access to multiple different modalities to cultivate the awareness and the healing energetics of our evolution. You know, some people go full on into one path, and the understanding that I have is that we are incredibly multifaceted beings, and in order to really fully evolve into what we are becoming, we need to have lots and lots of tools. So that's why I really love theta healing, because theta healing is like a counseling modality, but it works in the theta state, which is a trance state. So it's sort of like hypnosis in that way, but it also is working on the verbal level to restructure the mental belief systems that are keeping us in limitation, and to download and bring in new beliefs that are more serving to our soul and to our collective evolution. So pairing something like that with also a yoga practice, with also an expressive movement practice, with also receiving energy work, I feel like that is a way to really deepen our understanding and really bring us all into even the next level of our evolution, of our being. It's really important to have lots of different ways. So that's why we're going to have a whole bunch of modalities here, so that people have access to all of it and can also see how it's all interconnected and all important to our evolution.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, the whole Kundalini thing, I think there obviously is a lot that can be talked about that. I mean, even I'm seeing people talk in the live chat, you know, there's a lot of symbolism related to the Kundalini when we think of the idea of the spiraling, rising serpents. There's the symbol of the Caduceus, or Caduceus, I think that's Caduceus. Yeah, that's how you pronounce it. So the Caduceus, I mean, we sort of see that within like the healthcare system as like the staff with the spiraling serpent sort of going up it. I mean, the staff sort of representing the spine and the serpents representing the Kundalini energy itself. And I mean, we said there's a lot of symbolism that we see, but I think it's a really interesting thing, and I'd actually be able to like just spend one more moment on that, and also just be able to remind people as to how much more than just our physical body we actually are. I mean, we have our organs, our physical organs, but then there's also this idea that there's when we talk about the chakras literally being these primary nodes, these primary points throughout our body that are literally spinning discs. And the way how I sort of think of them, you can almost sort of think of them as like a water well or sort of gears in a clock sort of thing. So if you have one that's sort of clogged up and it's not spinning properly, then it's going to prevent the other ones from functioning as well. And it's going to prevent like the water from sort of flowing through as much as it can. And as much as it can, again, it represents us being in a more sacred representation of what our potential actually is. Going back to the idea of the clean river metaphor representing ultimate sacredness, and the pollution and the dirtiness. Think of that as like the pollution and the dirtiness in yourself. So I mean, even something like, are you drinking excessive amounts of alcohol? Are you smoking cigarettes? Are you eating food that's bad for you? All of these little things are polluting your river, are clogging up your chakras, so to speak. And I mean, even just spending a little bit of time here, like in terms of what are some ways that people can like unblock their chakras. I mean, I think physical exercise is one of the best ways. I mean, just engaging. I mean, you shouldn't do what is healthier for you, and don't listen to like the parasitic thoughts in your head that are convincing you to do things that aren't actually in your best nature. And that in itself takes a little bit of willpower, but that's like part of the challenge and part of what we are striving for, so that we can all step into being a more like divine, a more like superpower, superhero version of who we are, and not just for ourselves, but so that we can go out there, so that we can be in sync with our intuition, so that we can be more capable to receive messages from the universe itself, to be in communication with it, and to be able to to go with that flow and to be where we need to be and to be able to bring more love into this world and be able to help other people along the way. And yeah, I mean, in terms of just one thing I just have on the top of my head, because I was thinking about this yesterday or a couple of days ago at the Paradigm Shift London community meeting, was the idea that yes, it's important to be able to focus on yourself. Yes, it's important to become more of who you are. But what's equally as important is the idea of finding other people so that we can build the tribe, so that we can build like the flock, and that we can fly together. You know, when you think of geese, when you think of birds, the way they fly together, that is kind of what we are doing. That is what we are doing. We are building ourselves, and by building ourselves, there's the idea, you know, there's plant self, there's animal self, there's myself, there's yourself, and then there's group self, there's community self, there's city self, there's country self, there's world self. So I mean, we're creating these groups of selves. And I think, again, just tying this back in with the value of community, like just thinking about what happens when more people are capable of synchronizing and are being in that divine flow, that divine like drive, that spark to be able to fly with the rest of the flock, so to speak. But yeah, just kind of touching upon the chakra things, maybe Flo, if you have some other practical tips that you can give the audience, because it's always important to be able to bring things back to practicality and stuff. I'm interested in what you can suggest would be some practical things people can do to be able to help unblock their chakras, so to speak, and work towards this Kundalini awakening, as we were referring to it as. And also, and I'm kind of jumping ahead of myself, just kind of, I mean, how maybe you would describe this Kundalini awakening as? Like, is this actually like a thing that just like happens, or is it like an event that happens like over a long period of time? Like, is this like similar to an orgasm? Because I mean, in terms of like what our body can sense, like that is almost like what many of us are familiar with as like a very heightened opening sensation. So I mean, I imagine there's some sort of parallel that can be drawn there. But yeah, if you can, just going back again, what are some ways that people can unblock their chakras, move towards the Kundalini experience, and then what can we anticipate the Kundalini experience being, so that we know it's happening when it does happen, so to speak? If that's not too much to ask. Yeah.
Well, I think I'll answer the last part first,
sure.
Which there is no typical way that a Kundalini awakening is experienced. Some people experience it all in an instant. Some people experience it over a long period of time. Some people experience it as pain and contraction and confusion, and some people experience it as ecstasy, natural ecstasy. And also, like, sometimes there's just one event that makes it really clear to a person that that's what's happening. And sometimes it's just so gradual that it's just part of their being, and they don't even recognize that they are already an open channel for Kundalini energy to move through them. So some ways, well, the way that I experienced it was I had really I was really shocked. I was not prepared. I had no spiritual teacher or practice or anything. So I went through with my ego on. So that, to me, I experienced it as my awakening experience. The initial event of that was I experienced a lot of tension and pain in my lower back. I was just laying in my bed, and then suddenly the energy just shot through my body. Most of my muscles were tensing and contracting uncontrollably. I felt just surges of energy coming through me. I didn't know what was happening, but a deeper part of myself knew that it was something good. So I wasn't that scared. But then through that, you know, it's not just it happens and then you're just healed. It's a catalyst that takes you into a deeper self-exploration and healing. And so through that, I found Kundalini Yoga, which is one of the most powerful ways to work with that energy. It's a really ancient technology that's available to us now in the Western world. It's really amazing. It's super powerful for clearing out your channels, getting really clear, accessing even deeper meditation. Meditation is a great way to clear your chakras. You can do a chakra clearing meditation simply by sitting or laying and gently and slowly breathing deeply into every chakra. And if you don't know about the chakra systems, I would definitely recommend looking it up. There's tons of information online, or you could ask people of what chakras are. It's definitely part of the yoga tradition. So just straight up yoga is a really great way to work with the energy of the chakras. That's what the entire system of yoga is based on. It works with all of those energy centers. All the different postures are created to get energy moving through your body in a clear channel way to clear out stagnant energies. Any kind of like qigong or tai chi or other kind of energy practice is great for working through blockages in the chakras and opening to more cosmic energy. And my favorite way is dance. That's what I teach. I teach Kundalini Tantric dance, and it's a really powerful way, and you can just do it in your own dance. I really recommend dancing to every single human in some way. It's really, really good for you because it combines the physical exercise, like what you were talking about. It combines breath, and it combines like celebration. So every time we're dancing, we're really getting ourselves into the vortex of manifestation and generating all of this energy. And then when we're feeling positivity, then when we're dancing, it's just amplifying our positivity. And since we're moving our physical bodies, it's naturally moving energy, including Kundalini energy, through our bodies. And then when we apply free movement, freestyle dance with really powerful breath work and intention and different tones and sounds, it's a really effective and fun way to move energy through the chakras. Also, sound just by itself, just toning. Here, one of my favorite practices is just making different sounds from different areas of my body. So what you can do is when you're in meditation, or you can even just be walking around the room or walking down the street or laying down, let yourself kind of scan your body and notice any areas of tension or contraction. And when you identify that, then start breathing into that place of your body. And as you breathe deeper and deeper into that place in your body, you can allow yourself to start making whatever sound wants to come out. And the sound really helps to move the energy through your whole system, so it clears out your chakras. And every person has the ability to intuit what sound is needed to move stuck energy in their bodies. And all it takes is just learning how to cultivate that kind of attention to your own energetics and noticing where there's contraction. And everywhere in your body that there's contraction, it's related to one of your chakras. So by doing that, you're clearing your chakras.
Yeah. Very cool, very cool. And of course, there's a lot more that we can get into there, even when we're sort of like narrowing it down to the individual chakras. I mean, I think, like you said, the voice thing, I think that's something that a lot of people will overlook. And I mean, even for myself, usually like when I'm walking my dogs, oftentimes if there's a particular song on, I'll be like singing to myself while walking my dog, just because like I'm actually like doing it because I want to be able to just like practice vocalizing and for doing it for, I mean, whether it's always consciously or subconsciously doing it to just sort of keep my chakras spinning, so to speak. But I mean, oftentimes, like if people have a hard time sort of saying something, that could very easily be associated with the idea that your throat chakra is blocked, so to speak, and then the way how you unblock it is just by being able to practice saying things. And drawing this back into what the reason why we're here talking about the creation of sacred space, that's where again these sacred spaces are so important, because I mean, when you have people who are they have all the thoughts, they have all these ideas in their mind, but they haven't had an opportunity to practice having conversation, a sacred space, a place where they don't feel feel as if they're ridiculed can be so incredibly important, because it gives them the environment where they don't have to worry about pressure and they can practice communicating. And then as we practice speaking, as we practice singing our heart song, so to speak, it becomes more and more beautiful, and together, and metaphors creates this beautiful symphony, this beautiful orchestra that we are all a part of, obviously. So just kind of tying it back there, and thank you so much, Flo, for that information. I mean, again, I think that just goes to show the people listening that indeed you are familiar with a lot of these teachings, and you're quite well versed in it as well. And actually, one thing I just wanted to say, I mean, for people to be able to draw something upon, for me, and whether or not this is directly associated with Kundalini awakening or not, but it's definitely some sort of energy. So I mean, I guess it is and it isn't. But the idea that if you're like listening to a really good song, or you're watching a really cool movie, or you're just in the right place at the right time, or you're just seeing a beautiful sunset, and you have that like electrical sensation go up your spine or in the base of your neck, I always think of that as a very I've heard somebody say like, oh, that's like your DNA activating, so to speak. So I mean, it's definitely a good thing. It's definitely a good feeling. And then there's the idea that if you have that sensation, try riding it. Don't just like let it stop right away. Sort of like try and bring it back. Try and like keep it there, keep it going, sort of thing. And then if you can actually have something that can bring the sensation into your being, like even in a ritualistic way, absolutely do that. Like what I was about to talk about next, the idea of creating daily rituals and bringing magic into our daily life. If you can do that, if you can have like a song that you that even if you're singing or even if you're just listening to it, but it gives you that sensation, that tingling spine sensation, definitely do that, because I think there's definitely there's benefits. There's a lot of benefits to that. And I mean, the term, just to sort of give that a point of reference, the term that I've sort of associated with that is the term joygasm. That's sort of the best way I can sort of explain it, so to speak, because it comes from joy, and it's not an orgasm, but it's similar in the sense that energy is moving up through our spine. And even when we think of an orgasm, I mean, what is that? Like in the same way we're talking about Kundalini, that in itself is energy going along the pathway of our spine, and we're experiencing these sensations. But I mean, even the orgasm, you can get into a lot of discussion, and I mean, obviously you're involved with the tantric side of things, and we could talk about that. But I mean, there's even like varying degrees of orgasm, in the same way that there can be varying degrees of experiencing this quote unquote Kundalini awakening sort of thing. So just for people listening, just be aware when you have those sensations, and try and bring yourself into a space where you can have them more often than not, is what I would definitely suggest. But going back to what I was referring to, the idea of not only creating, also kind of two things at once, creating sacred space within, and also daily rituals to bring magic into our daily life, and to be able to transform it in that sense. How do you feel that sort of plays a role in all of this, Flo?
I think that creating rituals in our lives allows us to create a deeper sacred space within and outside of ourselves. And I think that there's many ways to cultivate sacred space within, and I would say the most direct is meditation. And, for example, the practice of yoga, that was developed so that all of the energy all the kinks moved out of the body, so that the body can sit for a long time in meditation and access that deepest sacred space within. So it's very important to learn how to cultivate that within ourselves. And each of us needs something different in order to access that. And I think that creating small rituals, or by creating altars in your home, in your car, at your work, everywhere you are, and also I'm going to take a breath here. This is a big topic. It's really exciting.
It is exciting.
Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about the ritual of having an altar space, because that's something that really has transformed my own life, and I directly see the power of it in creating a space of magic, and also inspiring the sacred space within every time you see or are around your altar. And an altar can be anything. There's no clear definition of what that is, besides that it's something that is representing a sacred space, right? So you can have an altar that's like a plant and your football jersey. You could have an altar that's multiple crystals and candles, many different religious traditions build altars. There's all kinds of deities that people build altars to, and when I build altars, I build them not to any particular deity, but really to just the highest level of universal consciousness. You can call that God, you can call that creator, you can call that source, you can call that my highest self. There's all of these names that we can do. And then when I create the altar, I also often will call in other energies of assistance, such as the elements like fire, air, water, earth, or the angelic realm and the archangels, and I take each piece that I put on my altar and I set some kind of intention of what that piece is representing. And so the final product of an altar is a very powerful vortex of intention if you do it while aligning your intention the whole time. So you can create altars of monetary abundance and put dollars on it or 20s on it and just like align with the intention of calling in more money. You can create altars that represent just anything you can imagine, really. It's accessing the imagination realm, which is really the essence of what shamanism is accessing the possibility of multi-dimensional reality. And by creating an altar, we bring this energy into physical form, and we create a physical reminder that can bring us to that space every time we see it or are near it, or we sit in meditation in front of it. And creating an altar was a really important part of my yoga training. I did my yoga teacher training in San Diego at the Soul of Yoga, and part of my training was meditation. There was a lot of meditation, and our teachers told us that in order to really create a sacred space for ourselves in meditation, we should always create an altar, and if we're traveling, we should bring something that can remind us of that deepest sacred space of pure connection to the creative source.
Yeah. Yeah, I think what I get out of that is definitely the importance of having that reminder. I think that is kind of like how this reality works. Reality sort of works in the sense that it's almost like a bunch of portals. And I've talked about this before, but like one thing leads to another thing. You think one idea and it brings you to something else. You do an action and it leads to a reaction. And in this case, you have an altar, and by looking at the altar, you are reminded of a particular thought that, in this case, like you're saying, the altar represents something that is either related to a specific intention, or it's simply just connecting you to that place of well-being and calmness and higher confidence and guidance. And again, like I like what you're saying, and emphasizing the idea that now, especially in this day and age, for people who are sort of resonating with the idea of creating altars, it's definitely something that does not have to be dogmatic at all. I mean, everybody's altar should look different, and what you put on that altar is whatever resonates with you. And I mean, for me, like my altar is almost like the top of my computer desk, so to speak, and it's almost like a compilation of different trinkets from my past that have specific meaning for me, that represent different aspects of myself, that represent different accomplishments I've achieved, and even simple things like pine cones and crystals that I have on my altar. And these things, they're all reminders. They're all reminders of specific ideas. And through me reminding myself of this, it brings more positive thoughts into my life, into my being, into my actions. And I think really just sort of stepping back here. I mean, I've talked about this before in the past. The human brain has a negativity bias, and what this means is that within our growing up in survival and surviving as creatures in the past, it is this idea that when you saw something bad, you had to know it was bad in order to get away from it and survive it. But we don't really need to work our brain that way in the same sense, in the same way anymore. But our brain is more likely than not to focus on the negative than it is to focus on the positive. And the way how we change that is by repeating the positive more often, by listening to shows like Paradigm Shift Radio, by not listening to things that are just bringing you down, so to speak, and by having, like you said, by having these altars that are giving you those reminders and bringing that positive energy back into you. And I mean, there's lots of different ways. I mean, just in the topic of, how do we bring magic into our life, one of the ways I think of is even the idea of like tattoos. A lot of people have tattoos that have very specific higher conscious meaning to them, and getting something like a tattoo can be a way to sort of turn your body into an altar, so to speak. So I mean, there's a lot of different interesting ideas. But yeah, Flo, go ahead if you got something you want to share off that.
Yeah, well, the one realization I had about tattoos one time is related to the power of water, because our bodies are made up of water, and water responds so clearly to intention and also to written words and symbols. So when people are getting tattoos on their bodies, what it makes me think of is that then all of the water in their body is vibrating with that intention that they've inscribed on themselves. And that may or may not be true, but that brings me into another really powerful, I think the most powerful daily ritual that anyone can bring into their lives, which is taking a conscious moment before we take a drink of water and either blessing the water or thanking the water or toning into the water or any kind of prayer or intention that you want to put into the water, because it's been scientifically proven that water literally changes form depending on the intention and the words and the vibration. So if we can just take a moment to consciously align with love and gratitude every time we take a sip of water or a deep gulp or whatever it may be, or anytime we turn on the faucet or when we're in the shower, aligning with the consciousness of the water there. But the most direct way, literally just taking a moment and feeling gratitude before you drink your water, or feeling love before you drink your water, will shift your life, because that water takes on that intention and then that goes into your body and becomes your body. And so you literally are becoming the intention that you put into your water. So this is a very powerful way to bring ritual into our lives in a way that, as many times as you remember, that's a way to really affect your own experience of life and bring you into a more magical reality. And you can put any kind of intention you want in your water. Right now I have some crystals in my water, actually. I started doing this. I have a Lumarian seed crystal and also a tiger's eye in my water. And I've been doing different rituals with these two stones in particular, and also just having them around in different ways. So they feel like really powerful allies to me. So I put them in my water. So every time I take a drink of water, I'm actually getting encoded with the consciousness of these crystals and their vibration and the gifts that they have to share. Plus, I'm also adding my own blessing of love and gratitude every time. So
yeah. No, I think this is some really interesting conversation, some of the stuff that I'm really personally interested in, this idea of practical magic within our day-to-day lives. And really, people sort of say, like, oh, your thoughts create reality, ... But, like, what is the rest of that conversation? And that's kind of what we're exploring here, is how how we can change the reality with our thoughts. And again, like one of the most practical ways to do this is by using symbols, is by, I mean, whether, like somebody was saying, they have a sticker of the flower of life on their water bottle. I mean, something like that. It's not necessarily the symbol itself that is doing something, but it's the intention that your thoughts project and recognize and resonate with when you see that symbol. So, I mean, it's not like, I mean, in the same way that, like, I mean, crystals, a lot of people will sort of debate this, whether or not the crystal actually has, like, any actual property of itself is sort of outside of the fact that it's the intention that you are choosing to put into the crystal. And then the crystal sort of becomes like an amplifier in itself, potentially. I mean, that's, that's sort of a different conversation in itself. But yeah, and just segueing this here, and what I'd actually be able to like to do, I'd be able to like to be able to invite some other people on to the conversation to be able to talk about what sacred space means for them, and any tips they have on being able to create sacred space within our personal lives and within our communities at large, and also just getting any additional points just about the Urban Temple project as well. But before we do that, I of course just wanted to remind people in terms of this discussion about practical magic, just reminding people again about the wonderful opportunity that we have through Paradigm Shift Radio every week for people to be able to enter the draw for the free consciousness shifting buttons. And that's something that people can do by simply sending a Facebook message to facebook.com/Paradigm Shift Radio and tell us that you want to be entered into the draw, and we'll be doing a draw for that later in the episode. And the whole thing with the buttons, and I'll just share it again within the context of what we're talking about here, the buttons themselves, they all have consciousness evoking symbolism on them. So I mean, we have the flower life on the button, we have the Eye of Ra, we have the yin yang, we have the meditating yoga, the Buddha. We have lots of stuff, fractals, all sorts of different designs. And the way how these things work is that by having them on you, like they literally sort of create the opportunity for you to share them with someone. So simply by having a button, simply by wearing it, you are putting out that opportunity into the universe that you want to help manifest the opportunity to share it with someone. Because that's why we have these buttons. These buttons aren't just meant for you to collect them all by yourself. You're meant to use them as tools to build community, to be able to help create sacred community within the space of where you are. And whether that community is just, a group of like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 friends, or whether it is, evolving into more and more people, using these buttons are an excellent way to be able to help do that. So again, just wanted to be able to remind people, and of course, they can order the buttons at any point at paradigmshiftcentral.com/buttons and use the promo code PSR and let us know that you're listening to this show, and we'll include some bonus buttons into your order. And yeah, that's an awesome thing. And again, just reminding people to send a message to facebook.com/ParadigmShiftRadio and posting in the live chat to get in the draw for shift buttons. And last thing in terms of that, if anybody would like to be able to help us share more than one batch of shift buttons this week, then please send a donation to gofundme.com/ParadigmShiftCentral, and that will be able to help support the free button fund that we have. And if we get a donation for that by the end of the episode, then we'll be giving away 2 batches this episode. And again, that's literally the universe creating an opportunity to be able to change lives. So I mean, if we get that extra donation in, that means somebody else is going to get a batch, and literally, like, that's like a whole, the amount of buttons that they have represent the opportunities for them to make new friends, to meet new people. So again, just tools. We just want to be able to provide you with tools to bring more magic into your life. But with that said, just sort of segueing this back into just the whole conversation of how to create sacred space. Flo, what are some more tips? What are some more insights that we can give people to be able to help encourage them as to how and why they should create sacred space where they are, whether it just be on the personal scale or on the community scale? And then again, just tying this back in with the beautiful Urban Temple project that you have going on.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, what I want to talk about is a little zooming out a little bit from creating sacred space in our own lives and in our own bodies and experience to creating a sacred space as a community and what that means. And what I'm discovering that means for me and my community here is really opening up to unconditional love and supporting each other and seeing each other very deeply and offering each other anything that we can to help each other with our personal evolution, because we know that as each of us evolve, we're all evolving and the entire world is evolving. So I think that one of the most important things for us as evolving souls is to connect with like-minded people and to create deep friendships and deep systems of support, and really creating the entire community to exist as a living sacred space of total non-judgment and non-conditionality, so that we can really see each other as ourselves and as an expression of the divine creator, and then be able to always have each person in our community now is always a sacred space for us. And that's the most profound and transformational thing that I have ever experienced, and has allowed me and all of my community to rest so much more deeply into ourselves, into our trust of the world, our trust of other people, our knowing of the inherent goodness of reality, and then it all continues to amplify our tendency towards positivity in our thoughts and in our action and in all of our offerings. And it's just the most powerful thing that I've found. And so I really encourage everyone to find ways to connect with people that think like you, and trust that they're out there, and trust that you will be guided to them, and just stay really open, because creating a sacred space for ourselves in the form of community is the most potent thing that we can do right now, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Like, this is, we've all sort of like been here and there, but when we really come together, like, that's where the magic happens. Again, just really reminding people that it's the physical communities that really sort of open up that new chapter into your life. And again, just tying this back in with what this whole Paradigm Shift project is about. If people are listening to the show and if they're inspired and they're saying like, hey, I do want to meet people in my community, what do I do next? And of course, I encourage you to add me on Facebook personally. You can do that at facebook.com/skullbabylon, and also go to the paradigmshiftcentral.com website and go to paradigmshiftcentral.com/start a community, and you can start reading the information on that. And we can get you in sync. And there's already, like I said, like 50 Paradigm Shift communities with lots of admins, lots of people who are doing just this, who are finding physical space and creating physical space to bring people together, to invite people out so that they can come, so that they can express themselves, so that they can be in a place where they can really sing their heart song. And through creating that helix, through creating that opportunity, it creates a lot of beautiful stuff. And I think that's where a project, what Flo has created here, which she has helped manifest into this reality, is very, very important. And I don't think there's a heck of a lot of these out there, but I think what Flo is doing, she is really pioneering something here. So by giving her our support as a global community, it's a win-win situation for all of us. Because if it can happen there, it can happen anywhere. And I look forward to being able to talk to you in the future and to say, like Paradigm Shift London has its own urban temple somewhere. And I think that's realistically what can very well happen, is that these urban temples can start popping up all around the globe. And I think that's really, really cool. So again, Flo, just kind of any other thing that you just want to remind people about in terms of the Urban Temple project? Maybe if you want to just say like what they can get out of the perks that they can select through the Indiegogo, things that they'll receive back by contributing to this. And I'll post a link again for that. And again, the link for this is already in the show notes through Blog Talk Radio, but you can go to theurbantemple.org to get more information. But tell us more about whatever you'd like to share.
Yeah, I would love to share about the gifts that are on the Indiegogo. It's definitely, as soon as you said that, I realized so clearly that every single one of our gifts gifts is offering a way to access a sacred space in some way. From our lowest gift, which is for $25, you'll receive a distance Reiki blessing from our resident Reiki healer, Kate. And, just that Reiki is a powerful healing energy that can transmit to anyone, anywhere in the world. So by just doing that, you're creating more space for sacred space and healing in your life. We also, for people that are interested in making altars, we have 3 different sizes of altar kits where we'll actually, each one will be different and custom created for each person, blessed with intention. And inside of each altar kit, there'll be candles, crystals, like beautiful altar cloths, and a few other items, some helpful incense or plants like Palo Santo or sage. And we have the smallest one is like a travel altar kit, and to the large size, which will probably be like the size of a suitcase. So those are available for people that want to create a sacred space. It's a really unique offering, and actually something that we'll continue to offer beyond our Indiegogo campaign as part of the Urban Temple store. And also we have some really amazing sacred brothers that have offered to make organite. And for those who don't know what organite is, I suggest you look it up. Really amazing. But basically it's different crystals and metals and a resin and some other components that create a really powerful force field of positive energy, and it amplifies positivity. So our friends have offered to make organite pendants and also desk pieces, and those are available as gifts for contribution. So if you're wanting an altar kit or you're already wanting organite, consider supporting us and allowing us to give you that gift of having a piece of a sacred material that's been blessed and will amplify goodness in your life. We also, Kate is offering Reiki sessions. She can do those through distance or in person, and that in itself, talk about entering a sacred space. That I would call that a sacred vortex. It's a really, really powerful healing. Alexandra is offering transformational photography sessions, which brings the person into connection with their deeper self and their own personal sacred space within, and then encourages them to express that outwardly, captures that on film in a 3-hour session, and then they get some prints or they get some photographs that are edited by her, and all kinds of things. There's more, but please check it out and see if there's anything that calls to you. We would love to receive your support, and we would also love to support you by giving you a gift that can help you create a sacred space in your own life in many different ways.
Beautiful. Oh, that sounds really exciting. And again, Flo, thank you so much for sharing your gifts, for sharing your story, for sharing your passion with us here on this episode. And of course, if people want to be able to connect with you personally on Facebook, do you want me to share your Facebook? Do you want me to? I can tell them what it is. I imagine you want to have some more people add you as their friend.
Sure, that would be great.
Yeah, so you can find Flo at facebook.com/FloFairy, and obviously spelled the exact same way it sounds. So feel free, if you're in the live chat, I just posted a link for that, and feel free to connect with her, and I'm sure you'll get some more updates about the Urban Temple project through her feed as it continues to evolve. And the Indiegogo campaign at the time of this recording has about 26 or 25 days left, and really just being able to work with everything that we can send their way. I think a lot of good is going to come out of this, and I'm sure the support that they'll be getting will be beyond just the actual Indiegogo campaign itself. So, if you happen to be in the Berkeley area, then definitely go check it out, experience the Urban Temple in person, and again, just reminding people that this
can happen in Berkeley, so it can happen anywhere, and we don't always need a place that is open 24/7. But if you can find a yoga studio and you can talk to them and you can say, hey, I want to have some community meetings here, they'll probably be pretty cool with the idea. If you're just saying like, hey, I'm trying to bring more love into this world, then just talk to them, and usually there's not really too much issue with money or anything like that. And then through there, just sort of reminding people to be able to help create that space, whether you're calling it a paradigm shift community or anything. But if you feel that that's your drive, if you feel that that is your calling, if you feel the desire and the passion to want to be able to connect with other people, to be able to see more of yourself in others, and to be able to help, I say that saying time and time again, as the tide rises, so does every ship. And that's really what this is about. So, there's a lot that all of us can contribute to this whole shifting of the paradigm that is happening. So think, reflect on yourself. What is there that you can do in your community to be able to help change the world? And it's always the little things that make the big difference. And going back to what I said earlier, this is a thing that requires a lot of patience. It's like growing a small plant, and when the plant is big enough, then you can move it into a bigger pot. But for the time being, just work with what you got, because everything that you need is in arm's reach. So just a few more things that I just wanted to mention there, and thank you so much everybody for listening. And at this point, I'd like to be able to bring on a couple of the callers, and possibly, if there's time, I'd like to be able to sort of finish this just with a short closing meditation. Flo, is that something that you could maybe just lead us into, like a meditation just in the sense of like verbal reflection within the present moment sort of thing?
Sure, I would love that.
Yeah? Okay, cool. So we'll do that later in the show. We got about, like I said, about 17, 18 minutes left as it is right now. So just inviting people to be able to call into the show now, and you can just do that through Skype, or you can call into the actual number at 347-539-5493, or just click the Skype icon through Blog Talk, and you can get dialed in pretty easily. And of course, just reminding people that they can go back and listen to any of the past episodes of Paradigm Shift at ParadigmShiftCentral.com/PSR. You can find the links on YouTube and on MP3. So Paradigm Shift Radio can go wherever you need to go. And I think I probably mentioned this earlier in the show, but I'll just mention to you again, because it's just one of the ways that you can be able to help support the awesome stuff that we got going on. If you enjoy Paradigm Shift Radio and you would like to help support the future of conscious media, then please consider signing up as a monthly supporter for only $4 a month this way. So through the idea of micro contributions, it will be able to help sustain this project in the long run. And we have about 18 or 19 people signed up for that, so huge shout out for those who are synced up as monthly supporters already. And you can do that at ParadigmShiftCentral.com/donate, and keeping an eye on the GoFundMe account also to be able to see if we're going to be giving away some extra buttons today. But we'll do the button draw a little bit later in the show. And again, just reminding people to be able to call into the show. And thank you so much to everybody who's tuned in. And you can listen to this episode again on YouTube and share it there once it's up. But just passing it back off to Flo. Flo, we don't have any callers on the line right now, but just anything else that you would just like to be able to share, that you would like to be able to remind people about either the Urban Temple or just life in general, please go right ahead.
Okay. Well, I want to remind people that we are actually unlimited beings. And the only limitations that we experience are coming from within ourselves. So the more we can do to really liberate ourselves from those self-imposed limitations, the more we can begin to experience the true magic of reality every day. And I want to encourage everybody to really listen to those deep visions and soul callings that you get, because those are really amazing gifts that are coming to you, and they're coming to you to come through you into the world. And it's an incredible honor to receive those visions. And I totally understand that sometimes it's really overwhelming, and it can be really challenging sometimes to persevere and follow through and bring these visions into creation. But I want to let you know that from my direct experience, you are and we are and I am and all of us are really supported to bring these visions into the world. And when I was having a hard time the other day, just facing, monetary struggles and all of these things that come with starting an actual physical space and a business and feeling overwhelmed in that, my really dear friend, Michael, said to me, Divine Mother doesn't bring seeds of inspiration into creation without also bringing everything that is needed to bring that into fruition. So I just encourage all of us to take some deep breaths and rest into trust and know that it's all unfolding in the perfect timing. And if you stay true to what you know is your purpose and your soul's calling, you will find all of the support that you need. Guaranteed.
Nice. Absolutely, yeah, and that's that in itself is a very enlightening perspective to sort of walk through life with, and once you sort of really know that, once you be that, once you embody that, it just creates the opportunity to let go of things like worrying, and just being able to remind people of letting go of that which does not serve you, so to speak, and take that as you will. But yeah, no, definitely, I think that was very well said, Flo. So thank you for that. So very cool. All right, so we got a caller on the queue, so I'm going to jump right into this and bring them on, and we're just going to continue the conversation here. Flo's still going to be with us, obviously, and we got about 13 minutes left in the show, Magic 13, and we're just going to hear what they have to say. So caller from area code 954, we're going to bring you live on the Paradigm Shift Radio. Here we go. Hello? Caller?
Oh, wait, I have to mute you guys. Sorry. Give me a second.
Is this Barbara?
Yeah, it's Barbara. I'm a little slow. Just go with the flow. Whoa.
Yeah, you just close the block off.
Oh, I really, I toned in a little late to the show, and what a beautiful show. I mean, I don't know who that person is. All right, I'm gonna just say that.
Well, she's here right now.
Gosh,
so say
she
hi.
is lovely. She's lovely.
Aww.
She's lovely. Hi.
Hello. Thank you so much for your appreciation.
Yeah, I just build altars naturally. So it's very funny for me to. I had a book, and years ago somebody gifted me a book, How to Build Altars, which is very beautiful, but I do it naturally. So some people don't, though. So I have to give them, the benefit of the doubt that they don't build an altar. But I had them all over my house. It's like, for me, and I think it's a lovely, lovely idea. And it's true visualization. I have the ones that have departed with candles and lights and lots of pretty things. And then I have little deities that I believe in, which I think everyone has their own, and that's okay. Whether it's Buddha or blah, blah, blah. And, everybody has that. And but altars can be all over your house.
Mm-hmm.
Totally.
So I think one of the things, I didn't hear the whole talking or the whole discussion, but altars of love and homage and whatever can be all over. I have them in my kitchen. I have them all over my house. And it doesn't have to be this like altar, like in church that you do the altar thing, which you probably already discussed. It doesn't have to be like that, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Is anybody talking to me?
We're here.
We're here.
Yeah. But altars, I'm probably twice your age, and I've had altars all my life. but I didn't know they were called altars. You know,
me too.
You would have, like, when I was younger, I would have pictures of all my deceased loved ones with candles and crystals and all this cool stuff around them, but we didn't call it an altar. It was just what it was. So for some of us older folks, we've been doing this for quite some time, and we always, not all of us, I mean, there's a lot of jerks out there, but for all of us who love what we've had, or, I just lost my mom. It's a little emotional for me right now. I'm a little out of it. We just make these, like, tables of beautiful pictures and whatever. And isn't that what an altar is?
Totally.
Yeah.
I think it definitely is an intuitive thing that many of us do. Yeah.
And
something
so,
to reflect upon.
And I hate to be a jerk, but I came in late. So what else were you talking about that I can comment on? Sorry. What about the altars? I do understand that, and I think it's a beautiful concept. And honestly, I think it should be all over your house. It shouldn't just be a little special place. Okay?
Yeah.
I agree totally. Like,
that's
for
how
example,
I feel.
right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. Right now, I'm sitting at a
I know
desk.
you do. I know you do.
Flo, go ahead, yeah.
For example, right now I'm sitting at my desk, and I noticed that I actually have 3 altars around me just in this vicinity, then a big one directly behind, then another one at the entrance of our place, and then another one at the back entrance. And it just kind of is how I naturally arrange things in a way that's really beautiful, and that makes me feel like I'm in a sacred space.
Yeah, and I think
Absolutely.
I think that's a great reminder again, just going back to what we were talking about earlier, like reminding people to go clean their room and turn your room. Start with your immediate surroundings. Turn your room into clear the clutter, get rid of the stuff in the river, and turn your room into something more sacred, and whether like making altars and everything and so forth, and having those reflections there, those reminders there, and notice the impact that will make in your life. And sorry, Barbara, I will just say we're getting close to time-wise and everything, but
well, I really enjoy this.
I'm not,
I enjoy this, and I'm going to talk to Flo on my own. I think she's got it going, and I know what she's doing, and I think it's a great thing.
Thank you.
And Barbara,
like you said, honey, it's all over. You can make them all over.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And Barbara, of course, condolences to you, Barbara. We know we are with you. So.
All right, it was really bad. It's 3 weeks. It's not fun.
Oh, we're here with you. I mean, virtually, spiritually. So, and of course, your mother.
I could tell you.
She's tuned in too. I'm sure.
I could just tell you how I communicate with the dead people in my life.
That is.
And my mother was
very
one of them.
Topic. Yeah.
That'd be very cool.
Barbara, if that's something you want to talk about,
on the on-side or whatever.
Yeah, we'll have to do it on another show, and we can also, and I'll just remind everybody, Barbara included, everybody here is invited to the after-party hangout that we'll be doing, and you can find the link for that at facebook.com/ParadigmShiftRadio. So that's a Google Hangout. So anybody who may be new to the show, go to facebook.com/ParadigmShiftRadio, and shortly after the show ends, which will be in the next 5 minutes, you can find the link for that, and it's another opportunity for us to connect and hang out and talk and all that wonderful stuff. Cool. And so time is of the essence right now, and I do just want to be able to get to
everyone.
Shift button. But
okay.
Barbara, thank you so much for sharing.
You're welcome. Again.
We'll talk with you soon.
She was wonderful. Okay, thank you.
You're wonderful.
Thank you.
Awesome.
I would love to say one last thing about altars.
Absolutely. Go ahead.
I don't know if I said this already, but it literally does not have to be anything that's considered like a super sacred altar item, like crystals or deity statues or anything. You can create a sacred space for yourself simply by organizing your desk.
Yeah.
And putting that intention. It's really about the intention. It's not necessarily about the objects.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like some of the objects on my desk are like toys from my childhood, like I was saying, you know, like what makes it sacred, what makes it meaningful, again, is the intention that we choose to put in it. So I mean, you know, you can have like you can have some sort of picture there of like the flying spaghetti monster, if that's what works for you, or, you know, have a picture there of like Grayskull from He-Man and Masters of the Universe sort of thing. Whatever it is that floats your metaphysical boat, then just having fun with that is the reminder, absolutely. So at this point, just kind of bringing us down into the last couple minutes here, I'm actually going to do the draw for the shift buttons, and we're just going to be giving away one batch this week, but literally just doing this real quick as I just sort of take a moment here to take a breath and connect with the synchronistic nature of the universe. So and the synchronistic winner of the shift buttons, and of course you can order shift buttons for yourself at any time at paradigmshiftcentral.com/buttons. Hack the matrix, change the world, and this week's winner is Jordan Blackwell. Nice. All right. So Jordan's going to get a message from me, and we'll be able to sync him up. And again, thank you, everybody who has been able to contribute to us being able to help share more buttons with people and be able to help change the world in that sense. So from that point, at this point in the show, again, I'm just reminding people, of course, to be able to help connect. And also, for those of you in the live chat using this opportunity to be able to connect with one another, please, as per usual, within the last couple minutes of the show, please share your Facebook profiles into the live chat if you are there now, if you would like other people to be able to connect with you through Facebook. So please do that now, folks. And, of course, thank you, everybody, for being able to tune in and for being able to do what it is that you can to help bring more love and more consciousness into this world. And just another final reminder, you know, if you enjoyed Flo on the show tonight, then please feel free to go back and watch the Journey to Lucidity movie that is on YouTube, and you can go to facebook.com/Journey to Lucidity, and you can find the links there for the GoFundMe for the sequel, and just encouraging people to support that as well. But go back, watch the first movie. It's free online, and enjoy that scene which features Flo herself in it as well. And seriously, that's like one of my favorite scenes. It's beautiful. And of course, just thanking Flo so much for being with us here tonight, and of course checking out the urbantemple.org, and you can find the link for the Indiegogo there. And literally with only 2 minutes left in the show, Flo, I just want to give this over to you to just sort of give us a moment here to just reflect on anything else that you would like to just close the show off with. So if you go ahead.
Great. I would love for everyone that's listening to take a nice deep breath into your heart, your chest. And as you breathe in, expand. And as you exhale, let go and relax more deeply, bringing yourself all the way into your heart. And as you breathe, really expand this heart energy into your entire body, and then beyond you into the space that's around you, and beyond you into the whole city that you're in, and beyond that, and to encompass the entire world with this ever-present energy that is in your heart that you can access at any time. So one more time all together, let's take a nice deep breath all the way into our chest, expanding and opening. And as you exhale, relax, release, surrender to gravity, and rest into the knowing that you are completely supported and you belong here, and we need you. So thank you for doing everything that you do. And anytime you feel a little bit lost, just breathe into your heart and you bring yourself right back.
Awesome. Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much, Flo. And we're going live off the air just on time, so thank you again, everybody. Join us in the after party hangout at facebook.com/radio. You know where it is. We'll see you there. But going off the air now, and Flo, thank you so much for helping co-create this episode. That was beautiful, and I'm sure there's a lot more that we could get into. And if you're ever looking for it, you know, please, you're more than welcome to come back and continue the conversation.
Anytime, I would
awesome.
love it.
Maybe we'll do an episode where you can get a couple of your friends around the microphone at the same time, and that'd be pretty cool.
Awesome. All right. So thank you once again, everybody, for tuning in to Paradigm Shift Radio. Thank you, Flo. TheUrbanTemple.org. Check it out. Check out ParadigmShiftCentral.com. Add me on Facebook. Do all that stuff. Go change the world. And, help create that sacred space. So, Flo, you can join me in saying farewell to the internet as I play the outro music now. So, until next time, we'll see you in the future. Farewell, internet.
Farewell. Have a beautiful night.
That's right. And day, morning, whenever and wherever you are when you're listening to this. That's right. Yeah. Time is non-linear. All right. All right. Thanks, Flo.
Thank you.
One love.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Paradigm Shift Radio. If you would like to connect with people where you are and continue the conversations further, then check out ParadigmShiftCentral.com/buttons to order your supply of shift buttons to share with people to help invite them to this global project while also helping make new friends and building local community where you are. Shift buttons are tools to hack the matrix and tap into the synchronistic nature of reality to accelerate our collective awakening. Enter the promo code PSR into your order to receive additional bonus buttons to your supply. Thank you again, and one love.